All right. Good morning or good evening, everybody. Welcome, Aries, to your monthly forecast. I can't believe we're actually looking at January. We're looking at a new year. For those of you that are new to my channel, you can check out all of the December forecasts already. They're live. But what we're going to be looking at now is the next 6 to 8 weeks, really focusing on how to make it a great new year. And I really like the December forecast because it's sort of like sitting at a doorway or a portal where you can kind of take a look at where you've been and where you're going and make adjustments as necessary. So I'm going to probably do on the fly some changes today, because what I would like to do when we get to the portion just before the meditation is maybe pull 3 cards, a past, present, and future card, to kind of show us what's coming through for the next year, what our big opportunity will be for that. That'll probably mean that I'll need to take out like my reader's choice. So I'll make some adjustments to my normal sort of organization to make that happen today. I'm going to put down my little assistant here, Apollo, who's sending some love to everybody here so that we can get started. Let me introduce myself. If you're brand new, my name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. Like I said, we'll be taking a look at the sign of Aries today. We're going to do a reading that can be used for any part of your chart, depending on how much you know. So whether that's sun, rising, moon, Venus, etc., feel free to use it. I always begin with channeled messages. That's just me working with spirit. Then I move along to a Celtic Cross and an expanded forecast, which goes into specific areas like health, wealth, love, and destiny. And then we're going to make some changes today, kind of like in the sort of mix, because that's what's kind of cool with starting off with Aries, so that I still do blessings and blocks and maybe something that you can vote on, but then I'm going to focus on the new year. I'll take out some of the other pieces so that we can get this done in the same amount of time. And then we'll move into a meditation and final card at the end. So I always like to try new things. Apollo is crunching on a little snack that I gave him in the background for being a good boy. So if you hear some crackling, that's what it is. Okay, so welcome everyone. Maria Margarita is going to be here to help out with moderation. So if you have any high-level questions, she's here to lend a hand. Before I get into your spirit totem, which is a glass squid today, which is kind of cool, I'd like to focus on just a couple quick notes here. So if you'd like to show support for the channel, you can do that by liking and subscribing. It helps more than you actually realize. So just hitting the like button, subscribing, sharing it with someone that you think might enjoy it. All of these things help out quite a bit. If you'd like to give a little bit of support while I'm talking, you can do that through this button here by the emojis. I see a bunch of members here and with the green text, so I just want to say thank you for your continued support. If you'd like to become a member, you can do that also by clicking here. Okay, and as I go through all of these messages, I know a lot of times some of you say that you take notes. If you ever want to kind of view the written notes that I create, you can go to social media, and I post it on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So I'm going to give you a link right now, and then we'll get started. So if you ever need to see what I've written and just want to make sure that you have a chance to reference my notes, here you go. Here's where you can find my website and also my official social media handles. So it's usually just Nicholas Ashbaugh, except Twitter, which is nashbaugh. But clicking on that pinned link will give you everything that you need. So there you go. So let me just make sure it looks like it was pinned. Okay, let's get started. Let me grab my iPad, and we're going to talk a little bit about your really cool spirit totem. This one came to me in a dream 2 nights ago. And so I saved it for you today because I've never actually heard of this, and I had to make sure it was something real. But I saw this transparent squid, and my guides whispered to me, glass squid. So I looked it up, and lo and behold, it looks like something from outer space, doesn't it? This is what it looks like. I mean, there's a lot of different ways this particular squid can kind of look underwater, but mostly transparent. It does have the ability to show up in a color, but it's actually quite beautiful, right? I've seen a lot of different aquatic creatures, but this one is singular. Here it is when it chooses to sort of use the ink inside to change to a reddish color, which it can do. And it also has bioluminescence right beneath the eyes or underneath the eyes, which I guess helps it cancel out its shadow. And I think a lot of times bioluminescence is used as a form of defense too for different organisms in the water. So this particular mollusk is pretty interesting. So there you go. I just wanted to show some photos of it. And it was kind of a treat. And that's one of the cool things with clairvoyance and a lot of times with dream messages is you will see things that you've never seen before and you think, is that real? And indeed it is. And a lot of times with dreams, my guides will kind of give me a word in my head. Either I hear it or I see the spelling of it and then I look it up. So that was what this was today, Glass Squid. Let's talk about it, and let's talk about why this particular nature totem came through for you. The way that I work with these totems, by the way, is the same way, tarot has, depending on which deck that you're using, about 78 different cards. Oracles can have 54, but all these different symbols basically are giving us keys or insights, and just like the alphabet, putting together sort of a message for you. So when I learn about a totem, I can kind of help you with some of the challenges and opportunities and energies coming through for you. So fun facts about this, first of all, there are about 60 different species in this sort of glass squid family, and they can range in size from 10 centimeters to over 3 meters. For those of us that don't use the metric system, that's almost 4 inches to just under 10 feet. So these squid can get pretty big. As their common name implies, they're transparent, which gives them a form of camouflage. It's a lot like jellyfish. So they kind of blend into the environment. The cool thing when we're looking at transparency when it comes through in a totem is being able to see through things. And for those of you that are just starting to have like a third eye opening or an intuitive awakening, this is one of the first ways that I was able to awaken was, and it still persists to this day, is if there's danger in my life for me or for my family, I often see that coming first before anything else. Sometimes the good news, the happy surprises, that's a little harder to see, but your spidey senses, when they kind of go out there, they're always there to protect you. So for some of you, you may be able to see through a facade, a smoke screen, or some sort of a false front that people are putting up, hoping that you won't know what they're doing. So if you get the sense that there's more to the story, then become that inner journalist and do a little research and think, all right, what's going on? I need to ask some questions, okay? You too have the skill to kind of blend in because we're looking at camouflage here. So the positive of this is that you could be, to use a figure of speech, like a fly on the wall. You can actually be in the room, kind of go unnoticed, and sometimes people may not pay attention to what they're saying. I'll use some real life examples. Like when you're a waiter or waitress, a server, you hear conversations all the time. You're going there, you're giving them their drink, you're taking up a plate. They're ignoring you because a lot of times people don't respect wait staff, for better or for worse. But then you start to pick up on little kernels of conversation, and you know the personality of who you're dealing with by how dismissive they are, by how welcoming they are, by how they're talking to other people. So sometimes if you are in a role that is not like an authority figure, people ignore you. That can actually be a great way to learn information. You may choose to sort of be quiet and blend in and go into the background and not reveal who you are. We've seen this like with undercover boss stories and things like that, where you just want to check and see how's the morale, how are things going. So there are times and places where this can be a really cool thing, whether or not it's intended or whether or not it's just something that's happening. You can learn from it. I do think that it's important to not play invisible for too long. Apollo's making lots of appearances. For any of you that have a terrier breed, he's a mix of Yorkie and Lhasa Apso. He likes to, for some reason, really get that bed kind of worked over. So he's making guest star appearance in the background. What I was saying before Apollo was sort of photobombing me in the background is playing invisible, which he is not, can be a double-edged sword. So if you do it for too long, people can start to take you for granted. And this is a sort of a push from the universe to emerge from your hermit self so that people can see you, right? I'll give you another example of this. And this was my very last job before I decided to do what I'm doing now. I was just sort of biding time at the end, and there were no opportunities for growth. And a lot of times I would just sort of like sit there and think, it's going to be a long day. But I would work. I would just sit there and work. And I kind of kept it quiet because I knew that my time was limited. I knew that there was an end in sight. One day, because I just become so quiet, which isn't really in my nature, one of the managers came through and they said, "Oh, you're here. I didn't even notice you." And I thought to myself, and that's exactly why I need to leave. Of course, I was adding to it, but they had kind of like given me reason to just be quiet. So a lot of times we can get to a point in our life where you either lose motivation, you lose your voice, you lose momentum, but then that actually starts to have a sort of larger effect, right? Where people stop noticing you. So you don't want to become too invisible. You don't want to become too transparent, or sometimes because you're working so hard, but you put up the front that it's effortless, they don't understand the work that goes into it. So I think it's important to make sure that you're lifting yourself up a little bit, but also making sure that you're communicating what's going on so that people can see your contributions, and you never really want to disappear. That's a red flag. If someone says, "Oh, I didn't even know you were here," that means that you're not having an impact or you're not being noticed, right? Some of you, as I'm talking about here, may be fighting for increased visibility, or you might be advocating for someone else on your team and your family in the world in general, like an underprivileged or underrepresented group that needs visibility. So one of the best things that we can do sometimes is, if we have a platform, to use it. And that platform can be big or small. It can just be, like I said, maybe you're a manager, maybe you're a voice in the community that's respected, maybe you're an elder in a family and people look up to you. Whatever your particular platform is, if you can use that to spotlight other people, it's kind of why we're on this planet too, to help ourselves and to help others. So emerging from the hermit shell and finding one's voice and helping oneself and helping others, that's really one of the big things that this transparent squid is coming through and reminding us to do. The glass squid can also change its color to a deep red, like I said, so it can be conspicuous when necessary. And I guess your decision is, when do you want to show up? When are you ready to show up? If you're someone who's normally quiet and then you use your voice or you raise your hand, all of a sudden people will take note. They'll say, "Oh, wow, okay, yeah, what do you have to say?" They may see you in a different light too. Just like the squid changed its skin, or kind of in this case, I guess they're really just activating the sort of like, what is it? Their ink glands or whatever. You can go from transparent to at least having some color there and showing up. So you have a choice this month. You have a chance actually as well. So are you ready? And when are you going to do that? One of the cool things that with this particular species is that they have the ability to be buoyant. They have like a fluid reserve that they can access that is lighter than the seawater around them. So what this can do is basically give them the ability to float a little bit. And you may also be asked to have that buoyancy in your life. Levity rather, is something where sometimes you can laugh a little bit or lighten the mood. If it gets too somber or too serious, or there's a morale issue, a lot of times you do need to kind of come in there and help create more of a teamwork, more of a sort of connection, a better sort of environment. This can also be about seeing things from a bird's eye perspective, using inclusive language and being inclusive in general, making sure that there aren't cliques. If there are cliques, maybe mixing and matching. So if you have the ability to partner up with someone that you normally wouldn't, or if you're in a position of authority and you can pair people up, this can often help break down some of the barriers. And sometimes you can kind of help. One person can bring the other person out of their shell, and the other person might be able to bring that person into a more detail-oriented point of view. So again, laughter, smiling are two things that we can do, not in a sort of condescending or inauthentic way, but a smile can go a long way in really opening up someone's heart and connecting them to you. And then also focusing on things other than work. That's going to help break the ice. Too often when we're in school, work, or just sometimes a family where you're focusing on trying to get things done, and it's sort of like a workaholic mentality, it can actually be counterproductive. You get exhausted, you're not as productive. There may even be that sort of morale issue where people are having a hard time connecting. All of these things can kind of pop up. So helping to break the ice, helping to break the mood is going to be really important for many of you. All right, some more fun facts about glass squid, and actually different species of squid as well. Bioluminescence is something that they have. Basically, it's a fancy word for they can light up in dark spaces. And many of you may be asked to do the same. You may be asked to illuminate or shine light on a tricky situation. You may also be the light in the dark. And that's kind of challenging sometimes when people around you tend to sort of be thinking about all of the things that could be going wrong, to help them flip it and to think about, well, here's how this could actually work to our benefit. So bring light to a situation or see the positive in an otherwise challenging situation. I think these are things that you can do if you're feeling called and feeling open to do that. When I was looking at larger species like the, I forget the name of them, but it's the really, really large ones that can live underwater. They have to sacrifice size for something, and it usually ends up being metabolism. So pacing yourself may be important, and also finding motivation may be really important right now. Colossal, that's what I was going to call it. So the colossal squid, the ones that are just really, really big, living in the depths of the ocean, they have to move slower, so that because they can't eat all of the time. So they've developed a slower metabolism. They can move fast when necessary, but they reserve that sort of energy for hunting, really. So you may have to focus on motivation and ask yourself, why am I doing what I'm doing, right? And also like incentivize things, not just for yourself, but for others. So that carrot is really important sometimes, having a carrot on a string and thinking this is it, but also kind of like being able to celebrate and enjoy that carrot at some point. But if you're going to school, remind yourself why you're doing this. Is it to get a raise? Is it to get a better job? Is it because you're the first in your family? If you are working really hard, what's the purpose? What are you getting out of it? Are you appreciated? If you can't get motivated, or if there is no incentive, then this is also an opportunity to find something where there is more of a reward. It's not always money. It's not always fame. It's not always something tangible. It could be sort of just a general fulfillment, but there has to be something that balances out the equation. As I said, there are moments where squid can move really, really fast. So I see this as a sprinting opportunity. This isn't long distance. This isn't a series of relay runs. I feel like some of you have one moment this month to really go for it. So when that opportunity presents itself, then you want to embrace it and say, all right, this is what I set myself up for. This is why I've been working so hard. Let's do it. Let's push. Of course, I would be remiss to not mention the tentacles, although with the glass squid, they were pretty small. But with squid in general, I just want to kind of look at a broader image of the totem. The tentacles and also the little suction cups, they have this ability to hold on and hold on pretty nicely to something. So reach for what it is that you want. And then once you've achieved it, hold on to it, develop it, work it, and embrace it and say, yes, this is why I came to this point in my life. This is why I've been working so hard. And I'm not going to easily let go of this, even if there are challenges or disapproval. Gripping onto something and really kind of allowing that to take hold or take root is going to be important. Not in a sort of Four of Pentacles way, but in a I earned this and I really want this sort of way. More like an Ace of Pentacles, grabbing onto that sort of prize that you've earned. Finally, again, it's kind of cool that they have all these arms, and it reminds me sort of the gods that we see that have multiple arms. Always think it would be nice sometimes to be able to do more than one thing at once. Multitasking is good, but there are limits. You want to make sure that you're not overextending yourself. So focus on being realistic, delegate as necessary, and realize that you can only stretch so far. And these are the main messages that the squid brought through for you. There are a couple other things that came through in dreams that I didn't even put on cards. I'm going to talk about a couple of those right now, and then we'll move on to the next section. One of them was I saw, it feels like some of you are between two places. And because we're standing at that doorway between 2021, 2022, this makes sense. But I saw two sets of keys, kind of like you were moving into a new place, but you misplaced one of the sets. And it's just sort of an internal question of where is home? Where am I at? Where am I going? And so for some of us, as we get into a new situation, it takes a while to allow it to feel like home. And I saw you going back into like the old space and thinking like, am I ready to let this go? So some of you are kind of grappling between two different sides of the equation, and you and only you can kind of decide when it is time to put the keys in the door and move on, which many of us do if you're renting an apartment, or even if you're moving out of your house, you'll leave the set of keys there for the next person. So So that's what I saw was a symbolic handoff of keys, which was kind of interesting. I've been receiving a lot of messages over the past 3 to 4 weeks about like locks and keys and combinations. So some of you are trying to figure out maybe what's important, what you want to hold on to, what you want to let go of. So as you're kind of thinking about goals and dreams for the next year, think about that. And also think about what you want to protect, because that's another metaphor for that as well. And just the other thing that I got, and I have a family member that often feels this way in dreams, but is just sort of like looking for the compass. Like, where am I? Where am I? Where am I at? So we don't need any sort of particular point of our lives to sort of be in this wayfinding mode. A lot of times it happens in our 20s, in our 40s, or in retirement, but it can happen at any point. So whether it's quarter, mid, or later life, you are entitled to change your mind. And I think that that's one thing that traditional school and traditional work frowns upon. It's sort of like, well, you've worked this far, you're not allowed to do a pivot. You're not allowed to turn in a different direction or change course. You can always do that if you want to. You really need to sort it out. So finding where you are, realizing the key is within. It's not someone else isn't holding it. It's not some magic door. You have the key. You get to decide when and where you want to make the move, or where home is. All of that is up to you, basically. Okay, so those are the messages from Spirit, and also kind of things that came to me right here, right now, that I wanted to share with you. So I'm going to stack up these note cards, and a reminder, like I said earlier, that if you want to revisit any of these, I'll post them to my social media, usually by tomorrow. So feel free to give me a follow if you'd like to. And today, the next thing that we're going to be looking at is the Celtic Cross, and I really allow this Celtic Cross to take on any form that it wants to. But as I look at the December, now looking at January readings, I want to kind of pay special attention to the deep past as things that you can let go of. And then, like I said, when I get to the end of the blessings and blocks, we'll take a look at some things that might be coming through for 2022. I'm going to be doing a special video on New Year's Eve, so feel free to join me at the same time in the morning. And we'll try to really kind of like open up opportunities and see what the messages are, peek into what's available to us in the year ahead. So make sure that you take a look at my schedule. By the way, a nice organic reason to sort of share the schedule here. So there you go. All the dates are there. I'll have the links up probably by next week. It takes a little bit of time. All right, so I'm going to have you vote on the cards today. And let me pull some new decks here that I've just recently purchased. And this is something that I like to allow people that join live to have the capability of doing. So let's see, I haven't used Afro Goddess in a while, and we'll throw out Modern Witch as well. Actually, we're going to do some different ones. Okay, so let me turn the camera down, and you'll have a chance to vote. So let's take a look at the ones that I've selected for you today, and let's see what we've got. Okay. So yeah, I have this new Luna deck, the Raven Prophecy, Afro Goddess, and Tarot of the Divine, I believe. So let me just go ahead and put the poll out for all of you, and then I'll allow you to vote. So if you're watching on a computer or mobile device, you should be able to participate in this. So which deck would you like? All of these are ones that I was thinking about, but I had a lot of research to do for the squid, so I didn't make a decision. So I'm going to let you decide on this one. So the Luna Tarot deck, which is part of the Ethereal Visions. And then we have Raven's Prophecy. And then we have, so I'm going to put the apostrophe on this one, Raven's Prophecy. And then we have Afro Goddess. And then we have Tarot of the Divine. All right. So take a moment to vote, if you will. I'll give you a little bit of time to figure that out. I'll show you some of these cards while you're making the decision, and then we'll get into the reading. So let me see. I think I actually put the deck in a different place, so I might have to grab it. So hold on, while you're doing that, I'm going to find the Raven one just in case. But I'll show you on the background here. So this is the Raven one. Uses not just ravens, but some cool imagery here. This Luna deck is brand new, has this cool sort of foil treatment and a new diverse cast of characters, especially on some of the major arcana. So here you go. And then one of my faves here, the Afro Goddess. Every card on it looks like a painting because it is. So beautiful deck. And then we have an older deck of mine, which I still like. And this is Tarot of the Divine, which is like these reimagined fairy tales. So looks like the ethereal deck is in the lead. So we're going to end the poll here. So thank you so much for everybody that voted. I might have to take this out of rotation a bit because you guys have been choosing it so much, but I'm glad you like it. It's probably just very refreshing to see new cards. So thank you so much. For all of you that do give back, this is how it impacts the channel. I'm able to buy new decks. So I'll probably, whenever I use this one, I usually pair up the Dreamscape deck with it too. So let me grab that and we can take a look at that one as well. So the Dreamscape deck is a nice sort of oracle companion to this. So, all right, let's take a look at what's coming through. And if your deck didn't get chosen today, don't worry. There's plenty of chances to vote. I usually intersperse, not every time. Sometimes I'm really called to use a particular one. But today I thought let's give everyone a chance because I was just starting off today and I like to open it up sometimes and see what you guys want. All right, so Sun, Rising, Moon, Venus, any aspect of your chart that you'd like. You can also join anytime you just want to have a reading because I am clairvoyant and I'll pick up on the energies of the people that are coming through in the room, either now or on replay. So you're always welcome to show up. Yeah, I think this artist did a fantastic job with the recreation of this deck. The first one was already good, but they created a more diverse sort of cast of characters, which is what I dig with this. I think it's great. If you ever want a link of the decks, my moderator can put a link to my website. I have all the tarot decks listed. I haven't done the oracles yet because it's going to take a lot of time and energy, but I might just do a list in the near future rather than putting the images, but they are all on my website. All right, let's take a look now at the cards and the messages coming through. Okay, so we'll begin with your catalyst this month, which is fantastic. We have the inner child here. Or the eternal child, I should say. And with this, it is about that eternal inner child. I think they both go hand in hand. I was talking in the channeled messages and in my newsletter, which I just sent out, and I posted that on the community tab and website if you want to look at it, about the importance of playtime, having fun, and breaking up the sort of monotony that we sometimes get into as an adult. So please, you not only have like encouragement and permission, but I think also like a valid reason to have fun in your life. Life on this planet, our lifespan, it is finite. We don't know how much time we have. And recently I had the totem of the hourglass. I think it was for Pisces. And that was a really cool totem too, because we don't really see the aggregate of all the days until they're spent. So spend each one like the wonderful resource that they are, and really kind of like embrace it. And so I think for many of you, there's this chance to really just make the most of this moment. You may be focusing more on children in your life too, for those of you that have a family. And so if you want to put an increased sort of emphasis on parenting or giving back, teaching, maybe you're thinking of starting a family, all of that can be a part of it. If you're past that, not looking at anything like that, it is sort of about also like what your legacy is, a project that you may want to birth. So we're looking at all of this sort of playtime, inner development, childlike energy. So to me, this is also connected with tarot totems like the Six of Cups, the Fool, the Sun, basically the children of tarot, right? And then the not so much the Empress, because it is more about the childlike energy, not so much the mothering or the birthing. I would say it is really more about being the child, embracing that sort of playtime. Let's look at the cards and we'll get some additional information and figure out why that came in for you. We'll start with your center card, which is Justice. I think this is a really good card to come through during January, because many of you will be thinking about, and this month, for those of you watching here in December, you're thinking, how do I feel about this? Where do I stand and what do I want? She is the deciding factor kind of card. When she's upright, the decision isn't always necessarily made, but it is something that's sort of like front and center. So I think a lot of you are at that point where it's sort of the universe coming through and saying, it's time to make a decision. That's actually the title of my newsletter. It's decision time. So Justice came through to emphasize what I just wrote yesterday in the newsletter. So you may also be at a point in your life where people that you leaned on, let's say maybe you were in a partnership, or there was a really sort of a parent in your life that had a strong presence. You may have a point right now where you are the one that has to now make the decisions. You're the one that has to sort of like be the strong one. And if that's the case, Justice is coming through to let you know that you can do this. Sometimes it's difficult to be out there on a limb on your own and really be the one that's trying to bring it all into focus. But you can do this, and this is the time to do that. If you're litigating, this card is auspicious, especially in the upright position. It's saying, yeah, let's get this taken care of sooner than later. Sometimes I don't know why it's convenient or it feels right, but like doing something between January 1 to 31, I think there's 31 days. It kind of gives you this feeling like it's a good time to make a fresh start. When I quit my job back in 2015, it was in January, because I didn't want to go through another year. I thought, this is the time, I have to do it now. And I've had a lot of starts and stops in my life in different jobs between like October and January. Some of my best jobs have started or stopped during that period. So it's a good time to start fresh if you want to. Justice is coming through to help you out with that, okay? You could have a strong Libra placement or a strong Libra coming into your life as well. All right, we have the Sun right on top of this, and I talked about all the sort of inner child cards. This is one of them. This is typically a baby. We don't see the baby in this particular illustration. We see like a solar disk and a sort of solar deity in this one. But this is showing you your ability right now to be powerful. The solar plexus is a big part of this card as well, which would be your ability to bring power, to bring force into something, to be sort of a force to be reckoned with, actually, in anything that you touch, anything that you approach. So don't underestimate your power right now, right here. And this is the giving birth. This is the release sort of energy. So I feel like it's not a question of if, it's when. And the when seems like it's very soon. So if you're waiting to do something, the combination of Justice and the Sun, this is the release, this is the decision. They're coming together pretty quickly. I would say that for many of you, this is within the next 2 or 3 months, we see a really big shift, a really big movement. And for the best, Justice and the Sun are two very good cards, especially combined together. So I'm feeling pretty good, Aries, about what's coming through next year. You may actually be signing a contract, an exciting contract. So this could be business or like a new house or something like that. And yeah, put yourself front and center in this contract. You have some negotiation room with that, okay? You matter, and that's basically what this is saying. So I like these two together. Looking at the deep past. So because we're at the nexus between December and January, especially for those of you that are watching live, this would be the lesson from the past. It'll be interesting when I look at past, present, future for the year ahead, if something like this pops up. But what we're looking at right now, at least in many of your lives, is moving beyond the limitations, sometimes the mistakes, or the constraints of resources in your life. So we have Seven of Pentacles. Seven of Pentacles, big lessons that come through with this are patience, persistence and perseverance, but also kind of like not beating yourself up because of choices that you've made. This is the road to recovery. This is the road to abundance. But it is paved by hard work and perseverance and positivity, and also by resisting the temptations that maybe created some problems in the past. So Seven of Pentacles comes through oftentimes when the universe hands us one final test, one final question or lesson. Are you sure you're done with this? Because you could go through this experience again, and you're going to say, heck yeah, I am done with that experience. I am ready for more abundance, more opportunity. I've built up my mental and physical and resource health, and I'm ready for all that's coming through. Okay. So all you really have to do as you start off January is say, I've learned from my mistakes and I'm ready for something better. That's it. And there are no really mistakes either if you kind of look at them from a different perspective, which is they were informed experiences, like they helped you understand what's coming through, contextualize the future. So these are things that gave you context. Everything is that. And once you kind of see it as context, it's no longer something where it's sort of like you being punished. Life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. And you are an active participant. You are the sun, which is the glue of this solar system. It brings things in, it jettisons things out. So you very much have a powerful place in your own life, okay? Let's look at what is still a little bit persistent that could be challenging some of you in the recent past. We have a beautiful Four of Swords here. Looks like a lotus blossom at the bottom, or like a lily blossom from a pond. The Four of Swords, this is a very awakened Four of Swords, right? Normally with this, we would see someone laying on a sepulcher, or like you would see a coffin, and it sort of shows putting something to rest. Some of you are restless, or you've had enough. You're like, I've waited long enough. I'm awake now. I'm ready now. So I actually see an awakened Four of Swords. So if you need to take a holiday or a break, do so over the course of December, so that in January, you can be this awakened Four of Swords, and that you can basically say, I feel rested. I feel clear. I have vision, and I'm open to what comes through now. If there's been anything that's been difficult for you to let go of, it does feel like there's a turning point over the course of January, which is fantastic, right? Who doesn't want to feel able to kind of like have a breakthrough or an aha moment? So I do feel like things are going to get a little easier. This is a card of ease, gentleness. Even though we see her awake and ready, she's just gotten up. So be kind to yourself as you step into something new. Just like if you get out of bed, if you move too fast, you can trip. Your voice isn't quite there. Your eyes aren't quite open. So it's an awakening month for you. Get your stretch a little bit and get awake, get your grounding. I think that's going to be really important. We have Agape coming through in your headspace, which is a beautiful card showing like love, basically support, universal love here, that you're not alone either. I love the community energy that's in this Agape card. And I love the purposeful choice from the illustrator on this deck to make sure that there's never a reverse on this. It's always upright. Doesn't matter how I pull it. So you are headed in the absolute right direction, as long as you see it that way, right? And we see the interplay between shadow and light. To be honest, I don't know how it came through, if it was up. Like, I would never know the upright on this because of the way that they developed it. So that's a fantastic illustration. So the message from Spirit is, you don't have anything to regret. You're on the right path. It's just about the choices that you make now, and you don't have to do it alone. There's a lot of support for you, okay? So remain hopeful. Use love to really kind of elevate things. And how does that, what do you probably think, like, what do you mean use love? I mean, love is the language of the universe. And when we motivate through love, when we communicate with loving words, when we love what we're doing, basically live in that frequency of love, an old video that I did a long time ago, then if we are in that frequency of love, then we attract people that are also feeling that same sense of joy, of compassion, of excitement. So find things in your life that you love, focus on inner love, and also help people around you. It's just going to work in the positive here. So for those of you looking for love, that's a great attractive energy. If you've been waiting for a while, we see a breakthrough moment happening for many of you. We'll talk about it more when I look at relationships in just a moment. But let's move on to the next card first. Let me take a drink of tea really quickly, and then we're going to look at the Emperor. Okay, so in the near future, we have the Emperor coming through. And the Emperor reminds us of the importance of stepping into the power that we already saw here coming through in the Sun card, right? So this is the child. This is the sort of realization of, yeah, I've matured, but I've also pulled the power that I've always had into what I'm doing right now. So take ownership over what you're doing. If there are people around you that tend to step in and take credit, this card is not going to allow that to happen anymore. You've earned the seat at the table. For those of you that are frustrated because you might be trying to find someone to champion what you're doing. Maybe you're an artist, maybe you're a small business person and you're looking for a distributor. This is a card saying, if I can't find the person to do that for me, maybe I'll do it myself. That's a decision I made with my book. I spent 2 or 3 years with, and I sent out like way too many query letters. And I had a couple of conversations with publishers and they always fell flat at the end, and also agents. They always just sort of like drop the ball. So I thought to myself, I don't want someone that flakes out on something that I care about, so I'm going to do it myself. So for many of you, there may be a decision to take ownership over it, and also just to make sure that you don't lose intellectual property. I mentioned recently, like an example with Taylor Swift and all the albums she's re-releasing. That happened because she signed a contract when she was young and she didn't realize that she didn't own her masters. So now she has to re-record them. It's working out in her favor, but it's adding extra energy that may not have needed to happen if from the beginning there was more of a concentration on ownership. So focus on your ownership and advocate for others. If you're in a position like she was, like make a change, do what you can to get back what you deserve. So this is about ownership, authority, and really kind of taking the reins and taking control. Some of you may also be stepping into a leadership role. So if you're going to stay within existing groups like like a company or a place of employment, etc., this could just be a chance to step into a higher position, right? So don't be afraid of that. Okay, it's coming for a reason. Someone's asking me if I'm fine. I am fine. Thank you so much. I hope you're fine. All right, let's look at the how you're showing up to others here. When I'm looking at your soul, your ego, your sort of reflection or projection out there, we have the Four of Wands. Very open to new people coming into your life. This is a foundational card. So some of you have made a decision that maybe like 2022 is the year where friendships, family, and love is going to be one of your keystones or foundational elements. So this card is echoing that that's going to be okay. If you've had sort of a dearth of activity, there's been nothing going on, I see a core friendship or a really strong energy coming through next year, something that you can count on. And this is worth waiting for whenever it happens. We don't want to rush it. But you can tell the universe that you're ready now, not later. That is a good sort of thing. And then let it go. Trust that you've set it up. Trust that something's coming through. You may be getting married or kind of solidifying a contract, as we saw here at the center. So this could be a new contract. I like who you've chosen on the contract. It's pretty good when you have the Four of Wands. So things are looking good when it comes to partnerships, new relationships, and the foundations for stronger relationships as well. Okay. And when I'm looking at the environment, there's always a fear of the unknown. We have the Eight of Swords here, but when it's in reverse, it's starting to be like less freaked out by ambiguity. So making peace with ambiguity will be your friend next year. So sort of thinking to yourself, I can't see everything that's happening, but I trust my internal compass. I trust my heart, and I know that I can also just make it through any situation. You also have practical knowledge. So from your practical knowledge, from your intuitive chops, from your ability to just sort of like bring this together, you know you're going to be all right. So trust in yourself, have faith in your abilities, and ask the questions that you need to. You always have the ability to be the inquisitor, be the sort of like journalist. That was my background. So I'm not afraid to ask questions. If someone doesn't give me the answers that I need, I'll say, well, where did that come from? Or why are you saying that? Have you looked at it from all angles? A lot of times you may find that when you ask the tough questions, you will, just like our spirit totem today indicates, be able to see through something. And people, you may get to a point where people can't answer. They're like, I don't know. I just don't want to do it. Or you can go somewhere else if you want to. That still isn't a dead end. That is a revelation for you that you got to the bottom of it. That person wasn't working as hard as they wanted, or they didn't do the work that they needed, or they don't care. So now you know that you can't rely on them. Sometimes, unfortunately, this is in our boss and our parent and our friend, but sometimes it's just someone that you can leapfrog beyond and go to the next person in the chain of command. So if you can, then this is just indicating where to focus. If it's someone that's really important to you, then it's saying, maybe I need to redirect my energy either internally or somewhere else because I can't count on that person. So you're going to see through things. You're going to see past things. You're also going to be able to deal with the curveballs that the universe sends you as they come through. Opportunities, as we're looking at the month ahead, 6 to 8 weeks. We have the King of Swords, one of my favorite cards. The King of Swords is wise, it is powerful, and it's coming through to remind you to use your voice, okay? We haven't gotten a lot of, actually with justice as well, I would say that's about saying what you need to say, especially if something isn't going the way it should, it's standing up. But King of Swords is one of the best cards, especially when he's upright. It's saying, I know who I am, I know what I want, this is what I need to say. And also people may be more drawn to you, especially with the Agape card here in the top here. So for those of you that decide to teach, to create a curriculum, to coach, to blog or write about your experiences, there's something valuable in your particular story or in your particular experience that's going to help someone. And even if you just help one person, you're accomplishing something amazing on this planet. So think about how you want to give back and realize that people are more interested in what you have to say than maybe you realize or than maybe you are yourself. So stay open to the fact or the idea that, hey, I don't want to sell myself short. What I'm saying actually might have a great impact or great value. We're ending here with the Empress card. She's reversed, but there is a partnership energy that happens when we have Emperor and Empress. So there's an interesting sort of thing here. This, for many of you, this is more you, and this could be the person that you're calling in. Empress reversed is someone that's a little bit bossy, and it is someone who tends to hold on to things more than necessary. It is more of the Four of Pentacles. It is a fear that this is as good as it gets, or if I can't have you, no one can, or it's just too much possessiveness. So one thing that we want to avoid is any sort of tendencies that you might be having in the month ahead that are in that sort of category. So with people that you are around, you don't want to sort of like nag them about something that you've asked. You shouldn't have to also kind of like let people know that you don't trust them or that you're worried about them. I think the best thing that you can do is motivate by an aspirational approach. Say, I know that you are as invested as me, and I can't wait to see what you bring forward. That makes someone feel great, and it puts a little pressure on them in a positive way. It's like, all right, there's something at stake here. It's not just the success of this project, it's the fact that that person trusts me. And when they introduce you in the same fashion, say, I want you to meet one of my best friends. You would be lucky to have them as your friend. And, like you're building them up rather than breaking them down. Now, you don't want to kind of like put too much pressure on someone, but when you do motivate with that aspirational sort of energy, it's great. And then also focusing on what they're doing right. And then maybe there's one or two things that they can work on, but you can say, wow, I just want to start by saying you exceeded my expectations here. I think you're really trending in the right direction here. I have a couple pieces of feedback if you're interested. That is so much better than I asked for this. Where is this? Are we going to be on time? Remember, if you're not on time, you can always come to me. So if you kind of like push insecurities on someone versus building them up, see what the trade-off is. Some people do need a person in their life that is checking in at every moment. But if you're doing that, it's exhausting for you. And it also isn't allowing them to grow on some levels. So pick and choose when you need to kind of step in and really make sure that you're meeting a deadline. But if there is any flexibility on certain things to let someone try and fail and learn from that failure, that's going to be how they grow and how you grow too. Okay. Empress reverse, for some of you also, taking care of yourself. I don't see her as a negative card at all. This is the internal mother for all of us. And sort of for many of us, if we didn't get the support we needed from mom, grandma, dad, etc., the Empress reverse is saying this is your chance to recuperate, because you had the Four of Swords there, and take care of yourself. So maybe getting a spa day, getting a massage, going back to school because maybe your parents didn't pay for college. Anything that you need to get, going to therapy because you want to unravel some of the stuff that happened. All of these things are fine. So do what you need to do to be a good parent to yourself. And I know that sounds kind of weird, but as adults, especially when you get older and maybe your parents or grandparents have passed, you are the one that you have to rely on. Many of you are lucky enough to have partners, but if you're not, that doesn't mean that you can't take care of yourself. In fact, in many ways, it's just showing that you're stronger. So what we see here is a lot of like strength coming through with the Sun card, with the Justice card, with the Emperor and the Empress. If you're looking for a partner, I think this is very auspicious, but there's a little bit of work, as we said, to heal yourself, to focus on letting people make mistakes if they need to. And all of that's going to be really, really important. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead now and take a look at the expanded forecast. The expanded forecast includes health, wealth, love, and destiny. We're going to start with the health card here, which is mind, body, and spirit. So we have forgiveness and understanding. I think this is one of the hardest things for many of us, is just figuring out how can I forgive myself? How can I forgive others? Knowing that, a lot of times, even understanding how things happen, getting to the heart of the matter is going to be really, really key. So I think forgiving yourself is where it all begins. If you choose to forgive others, fine. If you don't, also fine. And I think that I will say this, holding on to a grudge or holding on to anger, it doesn't actually help you or the other person. It just sort of like sits there and it seethes. So if you can release it and at least love and forgive yourself and build yourself up, that's going to be the most important thing. Forgiveness comes through understanding, and it is a choice. It isn't something that's given. It is something that's earned. It's something that you decide, but it is a very freeing thing. Remembering again that love is the universal currency, that loving is stronger than hating. Loving yourself may mean just sort of separating yourself from other people as well. There's so many different ways to look at this. But I think whatever you need to do to accomplish a sense of forgiveness and understanding for yourself or for others would be the most important thing when it comes to health. This could also just be looking at your current health situation. So this could be an injury. This could also be something that was completely out of your control, some sort of a sickness that came into your body that either was genetic or something external, and not sort of get angry about that, unless you're going to say, I'm going to get better, or use the anger in that sort of sense. But understanding that you don't understand the reason yet, but you're going to trust that you're going to be able to, you're going to trust that you can work past this, and you're going to transform that and sort of forgive what's happened. For any of you that have tripped and fallen and broken a knee or an ankle or joint, you can get really angry at yourself for not being more aware, but we can't really rewind. We can only focus on moving forward. So building yourself back up and making better decisions, these are the things to focus on. Let's look at some specific energy around the cards as well. We have the Seven of Pentacles here in the deep past. So for some of you, this is just, it's a card saying that you can get better, you can improve, but there is sort of like a realization of it took a while to get where you're at. It may take a while to get back to where you were. And for some of you also, there may be certain limitations now that you have put upon yourself. And this is true of everyone as we age. Eyesight wanes a little bit. Even the ability to work really late hours, you can't do that. And I've talked before, like several years now, but 4 or 5 years in the past, I had a concussion. And if you have any sort of brain trauma, you have to be kinder to yourself. I have to get more sleep than I used to, and I can't be a workaholic. So I pace myself and I take breaks, because at the time, the neurologist told me that he said, you used to have like 100%. He said, your new normal is 80. And I can push myself and I can go past that. But he said, if you do, you're going to get vertigo, you get tired, you get fatigued, you'll get the symptoms of a concussion, even though you don't have one. He said, so don't push yourself too hard. So I don't. And I haven't had any issues really pop up, because I know when and if it's important for me to go that extra mile, and when I don't want to do it. So there are new normals, and you just focus on moving with and past that. And you can push it a little bit. You can surprise doctors a little bit, but you always want to pay attention to what your body is saying. Standard disclaimers apply whenever I look at health. You should always work with a professional, whether it's a doctor, a therapist, etc. Make sure that you are doing what's best for you and your body. Everyone has a different sort of sense of what's right for them, so follow that. Decisions. Don't be afraid to ask for a second opinion if it's something that's really important. When justice comes through, she asks you to weigh all the options, to not just jump to the first opportunity in front of you. Four of Swords tells you to sleep on it, to get some clarity. It's also a card of sleeping, of rest or restlessness. So if you are overworked and just feeling completely exhausted, this is saying to get the sleep that you need. If you're only getting 3 or 4 hours sleep, then maybe you need a sleep study. Maybe you need to look at other things that could be going on. Get the help you need if that's the case. Try not to be seated as much as you are. We have two like a king and a queen card here with the Empress and the Emperor. We also have a King of Swords. Whenever I get a bunch of court cards, particularly kings and queens, it's too much sitting. So again, working with the appropriate health professionals in your life, decide how much movement makes sense and how you can work on that. Just walking is a great thing for many of us, or swimming if you need sort of like low resistance. That's pretty much it. The only other thing that I see with Eight of Swords, whenever I have a blindfolded card, 2 or 8 of Swords, I would say take time to get an eye exam if you haven't in a while. I know with the pandemic, some of us haven't gone to all of the different doctors that we normally do. So if it's been a long time since you've gone to an eye doctor, now is the time to get everything checked out. A lot of times they can catch things in your body before they get worse, like glaucoma or diabetes or high blood pressure. It shows up in the eyes. So it's a good doctor to go to, an optometrist, because they can catch these things. Okay, nothing coming through to worry about here. I think the biggest thing here is just the new normal and recovery, and making some decisions on your health and well-being. All right, let's take a look now at your wealth card, which can be not just your money, but also kind of like your overarching life purpose, etc. So we have Facing Your Fears here. It says, look for ways to strengthen your connection to the universe and to others. Stay peaceful and calm in knowing who you are. In my book, I actually had a character who had to face the personification of fear, but it was the face of fear. So that's what I'm trying to find a way to phrase it. He had to go face to face with fear, and understanding that really fear was coming from within. And then there was an internal decision where he just said, like, you don't have any control over me. I recently rewatched Labyrinth, and there's a similar sort of energy towards the end where Jennifer Connelly's character just says, you don't have any dominion or any power over me. And we always have that capacity to take the power back. So for some of you, there could be an authority figure, a family member. It could also just be just a fear of success or failure overall that's sort of looming there. So you're going to decide, enough now with this. I choose to be healthy. I choose to be happy, and I'm letting that go, right? So I think that's key. Let's look at some specific notes here about resources. I would say for many of you, just again, choosing to not overextend. The Seven of Pentacles happens sometimes when we have some debt that we need to pay off, or we've put too much, we've overspent, or we've spread our resources too thin. So justice is balance, basically. And she's saying, make smart choices. So whether justice comes through or the Six of Pentacles, it's the same energy. Smart choices give you more with what you've already got. So make those smart choices and you'll be happy that you did. Let's see what else is coming through. We talked about more of an authority, more of a figure of authority, or more sort of control when it comes to decisions. So if you can step up, speak up, or even sort of like step into some sort of a raise or promotion, this is going to be key. But otherwise, it might be finding places in your life where you have more power, more opportunity to make a difference, and maybe you're being called to move into a different sort of path so all of this can happen. Some of you may be returning to something that you had a passion as a kid, and it's kind of coming back to you. I also wrote about this in my newsletter. So there's this re-emergence of something that you decided, hey, I haven't really given myself a chance to explore this. I wasn't encouraged enough as a kid. I can do this now as an adult if I want to. Your biggest strength this month is communication. I think King of Swords also came through when I was looking at, or it might have been like Knight of Swords, and it was Knight of Swords. But King of Swords, again, court card came through in my newsletter, which is saying that things are going to move faster, and it's coming from what you say. What I wrote in the newsletter is that you don't know what's possible until you ask, and you may be surprised what happens when you do speak up. So with the King card, this is not only echoed, but emphasized. So you definitely have the capacity to make a difference. And speaking up, people may ask you where you stand, which was something I also discussed. And I think that many of you are going to have to make a decision. Where do I stand? This decision could make you unpopular. It could also make you someone that people really, really come to as a sort of like teacher or as a sage. So you have to be willing to take the heat if you're going to do that. Overall, though, I see things heading in a positive direction for you. And I see that sense of empowerment coming through. You have a lot more support around you than you may give yourself credit for. These are two of the best cards that I could pull when it comes to trustworthy people. Agape, love and support in the highest form, and the Four of Wands, literally someone that would be like a best friend that you could truly trust. Okay. So I feel like there's some incoming quality people, even if they haven't quite emerged just yet. For some of you, I mean, we can't look past Libra, right? Because Libra can be the King of Swords, and it can also be Justice. There could also be a strong air sign coming through for many of you. So I'm feeling good about that for you. It looks like there's some good advice. Legal counsel could also be something that you're seeking out, and that's great. So definitely get a lawyer to look at things, to vet out any sort of fears that you might have, etc. Okay. So sounds good. One more thing here, again, with facing your fears. If you're afraid of something, I find the number one thing for me that helps is education and understanding. So, even what we were doing here to kind of like know ourselves and forgive ourselves, it also works with this. So if I understand something, if I'm educated about something, I'm not as afraid of it because I have some data behind it to help me understand. Okay, here are the risks, here are the opportunities. I feel like there are more of these, so I'm going to go down this path. As a Libra, that helps me out because I need to know where things sort of sit. Okay, moving on to relationships. We have the Horse spirit coming through here, beautiful energy, and it says freedom is yours. So this is kind of like a horse that's broken free, or a wild sort of, free horse, if you will. So for many of you, you might be kind of in a place in your life where you just need the freedom to move, and you need the freedom to kind of like explore a bit. And in relationships, it's going to be important to not feel a sense of being overly boxed in or tied down or held back. So that's going to play a differing role based on how we look at the next three things. So I'm going to look at those of you in a relationship, those of you looking for love, and those of you that are those of you that are single but happy. So let's focus first on those of you that might be in a relationship already. The truth of the matter is that some of you are at a pivotal point. When Justice is at the center and she's upright, there's a decision, and it's often, do I stay or do I go? There could also be a decision to let one partner do something that they've always wanted. So maybe one of you is going to go to school, and one of you is going to kind of like shoulder the burden of like paying the bills and all of that. So finding balance and deciding how you're going to be there for one another. So there is a decision there. Some of you may also be dissolving a relationship because that's Justice. When she's reversed, it's almost it's always a yes almost. But when she's upright, there are decisions to be made. There are also decisions to be made about like family. So for those of you that have a child, it could be a question of, if you're separating, who's going to have custody? For those of you that are newly wedded, it might be, are we going to have a child? Or are we going to adopt? For some of you, this could also be a decision, like I said, to do something you've wanted. This could be something for your ego, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. We all need egos to exist on this planet, but you're like, I really want to experience this thing in my life. It'll make me feel better. So you have to balance out the opportunity cost if that's the thing. We do see a partnership coming through, again, for those of you that are married. It looks like one of you is much more comfortable with where you're at, and the other person, like I said, is tending to have some more insecurities, but not necessarily so much about themselves, but about you perhaps, worrying about, have you done this? Where is this? Are you okay? And there's some sort of like possessive or restrictive energy there. This Horse card then comes in loud and clear saying, you need to ask for the space that you need with that. And this person also needs to like give that. Has there been anything in the past that has maybe presented that, whether it's you or the other person? It could be just kind of, again, forgiving and understanding what the mistakes were in the past, and then deciding that you're going to move past that. So communication, to kind of like sum it up, I think is the main thing that's going to help all relationships. The positive note is that future and near future still shows partnership for many of you. So it's just about getting back to love with a capital L, right? Why do we fall in love? Why do we still love each other? And it's not about you versus me. We're in this together. Okay, so I feel pretty good about those of you in a relationship, but there are some decisions to be made. Money is a really pivotal one. Fixing some finances, and then for some of you, trying to balance out an opportunity and how far that's going to stretch finances. For those of you that are looking for love this month, are you truly ready is what the universe is asking here, because the Justice card, just as much as it can say that, you know, some Libra might be coming into your life, it might also say, do you feel worthy of the love? Do you feel ready for the love to come into your life? Because that would be ostensibly one of the most important pieces of that. Loving yourself and feeling whole is also going to be really important, because we have the Sun card as a part of this. Some of you may have a child and you're looking for love again. I see, you know, good energy around this. It looks like you'll be able to pull in that partner if you're looking for it. But the most important thing for many of you, if you're single and looking and have no child and you're looking, clean up your finances, decide that you are lovable, that someone is happy to have you in their life and lucky to have you in their life. It's not just the other way around. Focus on that higher love that we would get with agape and the Four of Wands. And don't worry about what isn't being seen. Trust that you're pulling that into your sort of like future. Okay. And I like what I see. I definitely get strong parental energy or maternal paternal energy. So if you are looking for someone that wants to start a family, I'm getting that for those of you that that's important for. All right. If you're single and happy, if you're divorced and happy, if you're just not focusing on love, the good news for you is I think that this is a great year for friendships as we're looking into 2022, especially January. So you might meet someone that is very similar to you, maybe a little too similar to you based on the card that I'm seeing here at the end. And but the good news is a common interest and a lot of love is coming through. So I like that. I feel like you have the ability to pull in key partnerships. You know, I'd like to see some more work and more energy around money for those of you that are single and happy, and sort of self-worth and just general resources. So I'll throw that out as a question that you can look into when I do the viewer's choice in a little bit. Otherwise, I like what I'm seeing here. I think for everybody, we're just walking into a period of some question marks. So here in LA today, it's foggy. And a lot of times with the fog, there's this illusion that, you know, you can't see past your own arm or the end of the block, but we know that something's there. So you just have to trust that what you're manifesting is beyond the fog of your imagination, right? I hope that helps. Okay, so let's move on to your final card, which is the lizard, which came through recently as a totem. So lizards are cool. And I talked about lizards' ability to let go of their tail if they were in danger. And there is an opportunity cost with that as well, which it basically makes them a little bit more vulnerable, and they have to work to regenerate that. But this is showing you that should you decide to make some sort of a life pivot, whether it's coming out of a relationship, going into a new career path, starting some sort of a new health regimen or something like that, whatever you're doing, it's worth the cost, it looks like, and you will be able to turn things around. The lizard is a pretty sturdy and I would say resilient energy to come through for your destiny card, but it shows that there may be a need to let something go. In the case of the lizard, it could be a tail. So you can grow it again, you can come back from it, but you have to kind of weigh out the opportunity cost of making a change. For the rest of you, just like the earlier totem, the glass squid, there is the ability to blend in. Many lizards have that sort of camouflaging capability. So I guess the question for many of you this month, and it's more of a rhetorical question or one for you to consider, is when do you want to blend in? When do you want to stand out? Are you willing to kind of be bold and put yourself out there? Okay. So great energy, Aries. I'm really excited about this for you. You don't have thus far, we'll take a look here when we're looking at blessings and blocks, but so far it feels like you have really positive regenerative and balancing energies coming through. Let's pull a big idea, and then let's go to blessings and blocks, and we'll see what else the universe has to show here. So for the big idea, this is just one thing that you can focus on to really make the most out of the next 6 to 8 weeks. Well, hello, Star, one of my favorite cards of all. So this is an opportunity to rise up and to really sit there and be in your power if you choose to do so. So I feel like this is a really good time for you right now. The Star card, though, does require that we are willing and ready to be seen. And the transparency that was with the Glass Squid can also kind of indicate what happens when you're stepping into that position of visibility, which is, I feel exposed. I feel like people can see through or see to the core of me. Then work on creating something that's worth seeing so that there's nothing to worry about. Love who you are and don't worry as much about what people have to say, because as we see even in live chat, there are comments. They can be positive, they can be negative. You have to just keep moving. And so in life, whether it's social media is a great sort of metaphor for that, but there's always going to be someone that has something to say that doesn't really add to the equation. So you're going to tune into what's constructive, what's useful. You're going to tune out of whatever is just the noise, right? So you have a chance now to really step into a great situation. Star card is especially good for those of you that are artists or really do want to get a raise or be noticed, because it's saying, yes, this is your time. This is your opportunity for all of the above. All right, let's go ahead now and take a look at the blessings and the blocks for the next 6 to 8 weeks. Looking into January again, let's see what the blessing will be. We have the Knight of Wands. He's reversed. The cool thing with Knight of Wands, Queen of Wands, King of Wands, etc., is the ability to really understand what's available to you and to embrace it, right? So for many of you, this is your moment in time to say, like, I know what I want to do. I know how it's going to be done. But if you overthink it, if you question things too much, you may have trouble sort of seeing new opportunities on the horizon. Also, if you are closed to trying something different, this can be a stubborn card. So we want to be a little bit careful with stubbornness. Focus more on developing and going with the idea. You could ostensibly sort of see this Knight of Wands at the center of a Six of Wands scenario because we got the star. So imagine that people are going to receive well, especially with the Agape card here at the top, what you have to offer. So channel, develop, express, discuss, but don't sort of overthink or overwork it too much. Just like clay, if you're trying to create like a vase or something, if you overwork it and you're throwing clay on I forget what that's called, but when you're trying to mold it a little bit too much, if it will lose shape and you have to start again. So you don't want to do that, right? So try to not overwork things. So the blessing is you already have what you need. There's already kind of a block worked into this, which is you might overthink or overwork it. So don't do either, okay? For your potential block, what you want to look at is recognition. You don't need it. We've got them flipped a little bit this month because you've already got something really solid. The Three of Pentacles is saying you don't need the external validation. You just need to create something in your life, whatever that may be, that you really feel is valuable. Three of Pentacles, although you don't see it here, is typically you would see a couple of people standing and looking at something you're creating. There's a recognition that's built into it. We can kind of see one person trying to peek and take a look at what you're doing, but not everyone's going to understand what you have, which is pretty good. So whether it's an idea, whether it's a product or a service or whatever it is that you're kind of putting out into the universe, it's already what you need, and you don't need the external validation to make it better or worse. It's there. It's ready to birth. Okay. So I feel like if we were just to summarize this here, what we can say here is don't overthink and don't focus so much on external validation. Both of them are actually blessings on some levels, because this is saying you've got what it takes, just finish it and make it the best that you can make it, particularly for those of you that are artists or writers or manufacturing something or you're building something. You need to stay true to your vision. Okay. Let's go ahead now and move into the viewer's choice. And then again, we're going to do something special today where we take a look at a couple of notes for the year ahead. And I'll use the Oracle deck for that. All right. So I might actually use the Oracle deck for the viewer's choice too. So let's pull a few cards here, and I'm going to put a few questions out for you actually. So for those of you that are watching live, again, this is a chance to interact with me. So let me see here. There are a lot of questions about inner child. So let me do this viewer's choice. So let's, what's the message about the inner child? That's a message about inner child. And then for the next thing that I want to look at is the decision that you might have, justice, how to make the best decision. I have to abbreviate some of these because there's limited text. And then I remembered that I wanted to look at the Seven of Pentacles. And I think for many of us, the question here is about healing and growing on this one. All right, so let's go ahead and throw this out and see which one you guys want me to look at. So there you go. If you're on a mobile device or on the desktop, you'll be able to easily vote for this. If you are watching on a TV, you can't. So for a console, you can. So I'm going to shuffle this Oracle deck while you're making a decision. And then after a minute or so, we will take a look at this. And then I'm going to focus on some messages for 2022, since this is for January. So by a pretty large margin, justice seems to be in the lead. Seven of Pentacles is trailing behind a little bit. And I think we've got a strong winner right now. So justice wins by almost 50% of the vote. So we're going to end with that. That's good enough for me. And let's take a look now and see what the message is here. What's the decision? What can you do to make the best decision, to find the balance, to make the best choices? All right, so that's so funny. So in my Oracle deck, what did I get but balance as well? The balance card was reversed. So justice reversed is giving you permission to say no. So you have permission to walk away or to say no if you need to. And it's within your right to also create the balance. We have a nice little yin and yang that she's created here at the center with her mudra, which is really kind of cool. So cosmic balance is what I see. You have the permission to say no. And it is okay to do what is best for you. I'm going to pull one more card on that, and then we're going to move on to the 2022 cards. So the other thing here is, for some of you, there's an inner remembering or memory that's going to come back that will help you. And this is kind of a symbol from the universe saying, like, this is what you should be doing. You might, like I said in the newsletter, you might be remembering a part of yourself that you lost. You may be sort of like triggered by something that you've wanted to do. So say no if you need to, and let go. You might have to let go of something to create something. So there has to be a no to make room for the yes. There has to be a release to make room for something to be birthed. So the choice is prioritizing the future over the past, prioritizing this internal yes over the external no's, saying no and not worrying what that's going to be. So you already know what to do, honestly, on this one. But it does feel like there's this, it's an encouragement for you to say no if you need to. Okay. Let's do something fun now, something different. I always like to try some different things. We're going to pull a past, present, and a future card for the year ahead. I'm going to continue with the Oracle deck because it's kind of nice to look at some different energy. So let's look at past, present, future to help you with some things to resolve, to look forward to, and maybe some things that you can, you can kind of like still have the ability to manifest. Okay, so let's look at these cards here. So when we're looking here at past, we have the Harpy Eagle. So harpies are really cool because good at hunting. Eagles are great too because of their ability to see things from a really clear point of view. So as you're exiting 2021, I want you to do so with the bird's eye perspective, looking at what was I trying to go after? How effective was I doing all of these things? Where did it kind of bring me? So what we're really looking at here is perspective. And it looks like many of you might have been really trying to go after something in a big way. As we look at where you're at right now, we have the more sort of playful energy here with this. Selkie, I think, is that how you say it? So with this, you don't have to choose between, I like that this is between two elements, between water and land. So this is the energy that I saw in my dreams last night, which is deciding, should I stay? Should I go? I really do feel like that's why we got two justice cards. The universe is really waiting for you to make your decision. There's not really a wrong decision, but this is a window that is going to close pretty soon. So knowing what's important to you as you step through into the next year, that is going to be everything. That's going to be the choice of if you step into that really high star energy or if you're kind of stuck overthinking things. So if you're ready to release and ready to kind of step into possibilities, we have that star energy. And then as we look at what it has to offer you, with the Knight card, this is, again, kind of like the fog. There's always a feeling of, I can't see everything, but that doesn't mean that it's not there. So you're going to be asked to work with faith and also to sort of shine the light and to show the way or to lead the way. So there is some ambiguity here, but the cool thing with this one is he is a creative energy here. So to me, the Knight, it's like light and dark. We wouldn't be able to see the stars if there wasn't some darkness. Kind of like ironic, right? If it was all light, you wouldn't see the stars. We wouldn't be able to see our place in the universe. So when we create something new, there's space. Just like if you're constructing a house, there's an empty lot. You imagine what you can put into that empty lot. The biggest thing that can happen next year is you're that light in the dark, in the night. You're the one that creates the order. We have two stars basically because the sun is a star too. And the sun pulled all of the dust and created something from it. So you're going to be asked to work with some raw material, some sort of like diamonds in the rough next year, and to create something amazing from it. But you can do that. So in summary, I feel like many of you exited this year looking and thinking, I wanted a little bit more. I get a sense of hunger from this harpy eagle. It's on the hunt. It wants something. It didn't get everything that it wanted. You're stepping between two different doors, not just because we're in January and December energies, but it's also because, do I want to leave this job for this? Do I want to move in with this person and decide to go with this relationship? Am I ready to start my own business? There's something big, but you have to let go of something. And in that absence, there is this unknown, but we already got a big idea saying, but you're the star, but you can create this, but you can make this. The only way that this is going to work, though, is if you believe in yourself, truly. And if you've done the requisite research to also back up that belief, because we don't just, you don't just want to have a big ego. You also want to have all the resources in place. I think some of you are nearly there. So what you need to be focusing on when we look at the cards for 2022 is fixing the finances and making finances often are a deciding factor. Even when I had to kind of like decide when can I leave my job, I had to look at financial numbers. And I thought, okay, when I have this amount and this and this and this, then I can do it. Once I got that, then it was an inner compass thing. Why am I still here? What do I want to do? So there were a couple of things. So I think for many of you, the financial piece is important. There could also be physical healing that's important. The other big piece is, I want to say in this, I want to have more control. How am I going to do that? Where can I go where I have a little bit more influence? The constant thing that we see in all of it is a little bit of ambiguity, and the universe is asking you to be comfortable with the ambiguity, okay? There may be someone that tries to tell you what to do. There's a big difference between an advisor and someone that's just bossy, or someone that's a leader and someone that's just controlling. So you want to make sure that the people that you surround yourself with or the people that you lean on have that sort of understanding of how to be there for you and not try to sort of like take control of it. Feels like it's a good year for you. I see this as movement and growth. There's a little bit of unknown, but you can also kind of straddle the two worlds for a while. You're eventually going to have to make a choice, though. And that's the most important thing. Sometime between now and probably March, you have to make that choice. And after that, it looks pretty exciting. This is a creative card, and especially when it's paired with the Knight. with the star rather. The star in the night tells me you're going to be fine. This is the North Star. Okay, so it's cool. This is a good reading for you. Yes, there's a little bit of unknown. Yes, you might be a little bit hungry. Yes, you may be trying to work past some of these things, but everything is going towards power and movement for you. And I couldn't ask for sort of like a better combination of cards, especially your crowning card, which is just outright beautiful with the agape symbol there. Okay, so looks pretty good. Looks pretty darn good. So let's move on to the final phase of this reading, which is going to be the meditation and the final card. The final card is a special feature that I've added to all of my readings where you can ask a question silently and I'll pull a card to answer it. So I should have mentioned it at the beginning, but if there's anything that I haven't had a chance to deal with so far, you'll have a chance to ask me that after the meditation. As I prepare for the meditation, you get a chance to vote on which instrument I can use. So which instrument? I have two that I normally use. I have a singing bowl and a crystal pyramid. So I'll give you a chance to decide which one you'd like me to play here. So crystal pyramid and the singing bowl, which is also crystal, and it's attuned to the pineal gland. So there's no wrong answer on this, whatever you like. If you don't know, you don't have to vote. But this sounds a little bit like a chime, or yeah, kind of like a chime. And that's the crystal pyramid, and the singing bowl is behind me. And this is what it looks like. And it's a continuous tone rather than sort of a series of tones. So there you go. All right, let's set up the meditation. You're going to be the star in the night because those were the two sort of cards that came together pretty nicely. So I want you to close your eyes and just relax a little bit. Let's tune into the body first, and then we'll set the scene for the meditation. The meditation is pretty short, so if you can stick around for 2 minutes, it'll be helpful, and it'll set you into this sort of energy of abundance. And I reward you by looking at one of the questions that you have. So just close your eyes. Let's take a nice deep breath. Inhale, sit up tall while you're doing that. On the exhale, relax your shoulders, relax your neck, your back, and just let it all go. If you'd like to, you can imagine that you're sitting on the forest floor. It's summertime. The air is warm. There's a little bit of a cool breeze that's coming through the forest. There's enough of an opening in the trees above you that you can see the night sky. You can see the tail end of the Milky Way. And there are some fireflies that are lighting up the sort of shadows around you. So you don't feel like you're in the dark. You can see what's there. Even the fireflies are a reminder of the light in the dark, just like the glass squid had the ability for bioluminescence. Imagine, in fact, that some of these fireflies start to gently land on your body in any place that you might be feeling a sense of discomfort or pain. And as they light up, you start to feel this warmth and this healing energy go into your body. If you'd like to open up a part of your body, like your throat chakra or your third eye or your solar plexus, you could see a few of them starting to land on there and light up in unison. And as they do this, you start to notice that your heart and your energy starts to mimic the sort of firefly energy around you, until you are growing and glowing with that same sort of beautiful greenish, orangish energy of the firefly. In fact, they start to give you the sense that you could rise up and fly. Your physical body stays on the ground, but the fireflies start to lift up your spiritual self, and you're taking a journey up into the tops of the trees and beyond with these fireflies. Circling into the stars above until, just like the fireflies, you're starting to twinkle above in the sky. I want you to look up at the beautiful universe around you, this endless, vast expanse. And there is darkness, but there's also light. And the light shines through, and it's a reminder of your capacity to make a difference, to make an impact, to do something special. In this moment, I want you to think, who am I? What am I trying to do? And really, what is my impact? What's my legacy? What am I on a soul level trying to accomplish? As that starts to come to clarity, and maybe it won't all come right now, but maybe you just start to wonder. You see light coming through your crown chakra and exiting from the heart. And it's kind of going into all of these spectrums. it's not just the light of the firefly now, it's all the different sort of colors in the rainbow, exiting from the heart and touching different possibilities in your life, reaching out to the deepest expanse of space and time and helping you remember who you were, what you are, and what you're capable of. I want you to exist as the star lighting up the sky. And as you do this, I'm going to play the crystal pyramid, which won the poll, and I'm going to help you strengthen your energy and your resolve for the year ahead. All you need to do is relax and allow for the sound to amplify your light. Take a deep breath and enjoy. Imagine, if you will, that you're fully transformed now into the energy of a star, with the capacity now to bring anything into your life that you need to. Seeing now the universe from a different light, quite literally and also metaphorically. See a single ray from your star shine onto your body. Allow your consciousness to return to your body through the third eye. And allow this sort of sigil, if you will, of your future to remain in the sky, to lead you through the days and the weeks and the months ahead. You've created your own North Star. It'll come through in dreams, in visions, and in decisions as you move through future opportunities. Gently open your eyes when you're ready. To bring yourself back into your body, you can rub your hands together, place your left hand on your heart, your right hand on top of that. Welcome back. Now let's take a look at your final card for today. So at this point, think about whatever your question was for me. You don't need to type it out, just think about it. And let's see what the collective advice is as we are all navigating through this opportunity. Hierophant, and this is one of the most beautiful Hierophant cards that I've seen. And one of the things that I love about this one is, first of all, that star is right there that we just created, right? Card was reversed. So for some of you, there is this internal recognition and understanding and belief that needs to happen, which is, I do not require permission or leadership from someone else at this point, because typically we would see either the high priest or a pope in the background. In this particular card, you have assumed that role. You are the leader. So the old guard, the old way has kind of fallen away. So there is a sort of rebellious energy with this Hierophant. And it's saying you may have to step in or to create or to establish sort of a new norm. There's a leadership podium that's waiting for someone. Is it you? Is it someone that you want to put your energy and power behind? There's a choice there. Now, if we kind of look past the stellar energy and the imagery here that we're looking at, Hierophant reversed. It's still a rebel. It is still kind of working counter to the system. And I guess the decision for you is how and where are you willing to cause some waves or some ripples? Where you're at could be a little restrictive. This could be a traditional marriage, friendship, job, conservative energy around it, which is sort of sometimes making it difficult for you to be as vocal as you want to be as free to make decisions as you want to. So are you going to push through the establishment, or are you going to establish something new? And that's the big sort of existential question with the Hierophant reversed. But for you to break it down in lay terms, I think that there are gatekeepers and there are blocks along the way. You get to choose whether you want to work with them or not, or if you want to kind of create your own path. So that's like the thumbnail version of that. Okay. It isn't a simple yes, no. I would say overall, it's probably a yes, because even with the Hierophant reverse, you have the ability to navigate through challenges. It's just a question of how long you want to do it. I feel like it's more of an encouragement to try something different. Okay. Because this is a rebel, this is a conservative. This is sort of like doing it the same old way all the time. But with this star in the background, we literally just created the star, and we just talked about the night and the star. There's so much synchronicity, and we're using complementary decks, so it makes sense. But there's a lot of synchronicity here. So I feel like it's your time to rise. It's your time to shine. You are that star. Okay. You don't need somebody there. So yeah, choose or create. Choose to sort of like be in the supporting role, or to be in the star role. But the star did come through for you, and I'll leave it at that. All right, so you got some great opportunities in the year ahead, some great messages that came through today, some really empowering vision, not just visions, but also imagery as well. So I hope that this helped you get some clarity on what's possible. Okay. We're going to wrap up for today. I want to remind you of my upcoming schedule just in case you need it. Again, I'm going to be back again tomorrow reading for Taurus. I'll be back on the weekend to do another Sunday collective. And next week, I'll be looking at Gemini, Cancer, and Leo. That'll be on Monday, Thursday, and Friday. A reminder that as you look towards the end of the month, I'm going to be doing a bonus New Year's reading. So for those of you that can watch it, it'll be on New Year's Eve, more specifically. Please show up and we'll do something special. Look a little bit more than we had a chance here, probably at the year ahead and the energy between the 2 years. So I'm looking forward to that. I want to take a moment here to say thanks to all of you that were, able and willing to give back a little bit here. So let me take a look at anybody that was able to give a super sticker or super thanks. While I'm doing that, just a reminder that if you want to look at any of my notes that I wrote down, you can go to social media. I pinned the comment. I'm at Nicholas Ashbaugh everywhere except Twitter, which is @Ashbaugh. A reminder that I don't do private readings. So if somebody messages you or offers you one or pretends to be me, you can safely assume that that is not me. And let me know, by the way, there's a form on my website. You can let me know if someone's impersonating me. If you want to give thanks, and this is on replay, you can do that by clicking on the button next to share. It's called Super Thanks. And if you want to join, you can join. Joining lets you vote for upcoming polls and things like that. All right. Give me a moment here to first welcome any new members, and then I'll say thanks to anybody that gave a sticker. So one moment here. Thanks again in advance to Maria Margarita for her help today as well in moderating and keeping this a safe space for everybody. All right, so let's begin first with new members, and I usually will mention any member that even joined before we started, like within the last 12 hours or so, because we've got a few. So I want to say welcome to those new folks. Welcome back to Patrice Walker. She's great. She's been here a lot. So welcome back. She's been a member for 6 months and rejoined. Sarler7, it looks like you were brand new. Welcome. Cindy Hunter, welcome as well, brand new. And welcome back to Jenny Tidwell, who is rejoining after a month. So great to see all of you. These are people that joined within the past 12 to 24 hours. All right, so let's go ahead now and say thank you to anybody that was able to give back a little bit. And again, all of these contributions help me to get some new decks and keep this fresh for everybody. So I appreciate it. All right, so let me move on to the next tab, and I'm going to say thanks for anybody that did super stickers or super chats today. So let's begin at the beginning here. Toya, thank you so much for kicking things off today, and appreciate the angel number as well. Rachel White, thank you. Amitabha, welcome as well. Appreciate it. Andrea, Jody, Candace, Melissa, Emma, and Crystal. I appreciate all of your contributions today and your presence. You made this worthwhile. Everybody else, please, before you go, hit a like. You can only do it once, by the way. It's not like Facebook. So if you like twice, it unlikes. So just one like. And if you've never subscribed, you can subscribe. Same rule goes there. If you hit it twice, you unsubscribe. So just hit it if you've never done it. That'll help my channel grow. And on replay, share it and comment. All of these engagement things will help YouTube sort of see that this is worthwhile content. All right, everyone, great to see you. If you're watching live, happy December. And if you're watching in the new year, happy New Year. It looks like you've got a great month and year ahead. So excited to be a part of that with you. All right, take care, everybody. Have a great day, and much love and light.